All right. My name is Dana Lynn. Welcome to a Tuesday night support support call where we gather together to learn new tips about how to stay focused on our lifestyle journey of remaining the healthy in the most vital lifestyle that we can. And tonight, it looks like all of us in attendance have been taking the superfoods. So I am going to jump right into what I wanted to talk about tonight, which was the 5 tips for how to stay on track during the holiday season. I I want to start by saying that I think part of what may be happening in our culture, at least it's certainly happening in my family, and maybe it has to do with the fact that my daughter is now 15, but we're really starting to pull away from the traditional holiday events and really starting to question things that we may not have questioned, doing obligatory, all sorts of obligatory things, where we might have felt obligated when my daughter was little to somehow give her some example, but really we're moving away from a lot of that. And we had a conversation today as a family about what we could let go of and what we wanted to keep. My family is not ready to let go of a Christmas tree, which I was kind of hoping for, but it looks like we're not letting go of that yet. But I wanted to launch right into some ways that we can begin to stay on this healthy track despite what's happening in our culture, in our communities, in our families. And the first, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to pull up a slide and just so you can have them in front of you in case you're a visual learner. I'll pull these up. I just created this. Oh, good. It's going to come up right away. So the first important thing is to take some time and reflect for yourself. What is when I say stay on track, you have to really begin to define for yourself what is your track. So what does that mean for you? And for all of us, it's going to mean something slightly different. So I'll use some maybe personal examples. So for me, staying on track would be to, this kind of jumps ahead a little bit, but to really understand that my personal choices don't have to be the collective choices. And so staying on track for me is actually staying present to my daily spiritual practice, getting in my body every day, journaling every day, meditating, and getting out in nature. Like, that's key for me, even despite the food. Because if I do those things, then everything unfolds in a much more beautiful way. I'm more grateful. My food choices follow that. How I am present to people changes. So that would be an example of something that is my track, that I want to stay present to throughout the holidays. Like that. And for me, it might not have that much to do with food. It might have more to do with staying present to my lifestyle, present to those things that keep me on track emotionally. So take some time to really define what you want your holiday season to look like. Maybe your track is that you want to stay away from sugar. Maybe you know that having sugar really sets you off, really changes everything. You don't sleep well, you don't think well, you don't act well, you don't it creates this downward spiral. So you figure out what it is for you. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's, who knows? And actually, we'll at the end, we can take some time if you want to be witnessed in what your track looks like, what you're going to stay present to. So number 2 is that this is really it's not necessarily a destination. Like this is progress. This is thinking about previous holidays and letting those define your track. So what has happened in previous holiday settings that you would like to avoid? And bring that up as a progression and as a way of having progress toward your lifestyle goals, rather than being so rigid and so fanatical about what the holidays look like for you, that you're not able to, that one thing is going to create the downward spiral for you. So let this be a progression, let this be a progress, and be compassionate with yourself. So then number 3 is to notice any habits that you've brought into the holiday season that you're ready to let go of. So here's another, for instance, in our family. My husband's family, his grandmother, his mother, used to make these butter cookies called pepper coca. Well, my husband has always wanted to make them with Annika, my daughter, every single holiday season. And they're like high-fat, buttery, sugar cookies. They're Swedish. So they're not that high in sugar, but they're like really dense. They're like sinkers. And so this year I was like, well, maybe we don't make cookies? And everyone was like, fine, no problem. And so that was a huge celebration for me. So that was kind of a habit, like an ancestral habit, a family pattern that just kept coming and coming and coming. And sometimes I would be able to not eat them, and sometimes I would eat them, and sometimes I wouldn't want to eat them, and sometimes I didn't really care that I ate them. But to have them not in the house is actually a huge relief. So notice what things you are totally ready to let go of and just leave them at the grocery store. Leave that habit, leave that tradition, and you don't owe anything to your ancestors to keep these traditions going. Trust me, you really don't. They will forgive you. And so let those habits that are ready to drop away. And you can, if you're feeling guilty, then bring that into your spiritual practice, bring that into your journaling, and trust me, let it go. So number 4 would be to get buy-in from the people that you're spending holiday with, or be creative. And it's okay that there's no buy-in. So first, ask for buy-in. Like, I was ready to let go of the Christmas tree thing, but my family wasn't. So that buy-in didn't work out for me, but the cookie buy-in did. So I just asked, like, flat out, how about we don't do cookies this year? And they were game. So maybe if you're staying on track means that you'd prefer not to drink alcohol for the holidays, you may not be able to ask that of everyone in your family, but maybe you don't bring alcohol, or maybe you ask for it to be minimized, or I don't know, get creative. Maybe you make some mocktails. So around what keeps you on track, make it okay to speak about it without judgment. Like, it's bringing no judgment to anyone else that they choose to be on their track, and that track isn't like your track, but have this energy of this is a value of mine. This is how I'd like to stay on track, and I'm just going to be open about it, but not attached and not bring any judgment to it. I remember, my mom will probably remember this, many Thanksgivings ago, I was totally vegan at the time, I think, and I made a lentil loaf. And I think the rest of my family was probably like, oh, what is she doing? But I think some people liked it. And as long as I didn't have the energy of not being bothered by a turkey or whatever else was happening, and I just made what felt good for me, then it relieves all this tension, and it's okay to have this energy of it's all okay, it's not that big a deal. So number 5 would be to use the holidays as an opportunity to practice compassion for yourself and for everybody else. So whatever is you're planning for the holidays, then the more part of this lifestyle helps us to let go of, or at least understand and watch how we use food as a way of numbing out. Alcohol, same thing. Sugar, same thing. Netflix, maybe, same thing. So we're watching ourselves. And so this is a chance to just have total and complete compassion for yourself and for anyone else. And to know, to bring, when you're reflecting on your track, then reflect on what's most important to you at the same time. So perhaps what's most important to you is just spending time with the people that you love. And so you choose not to make a big deal of food that may not be the way you're eating at this time. Or maybe you just have your shakes, you have your superfoods, and you eat for that day as exactly how you would have for the last 25 years. There's no judgment. You get to define your track. That's what I mean. And so if you are strictly on this lifestyle and you'd like to remain on it, then what that might look like is instead of butter in your mashed potatoes or milk, then you just blend the mashed potatoes with coconut oil, if you like the flavor of coconut oil, or no oil at all, or you just, so you understand this is part of what makes this creative. And we can open it up for questions like, how do I have cranberry sauce without sugar? How do I, if that's your track, and if it's not your track, there's absolutely no judgment. Honestly, don't make a big deal out of it. Here's a really important concept. What this protocol helps us to do, I think, is recognize, I was talking about this somewhere, I think on our Thursday morning call, is that there's our, where we are right now on our health journey, our lifestyle journey, and we know when we feel really good, and we know the choices that we make that causes us to feel really good. And so we'll call that like our track, okay? And then we know when we veer off that track, we make a decision that's like, ooh, I don't feel so good because I ate like that. And rather than beating ourselves up and judging ourselves and doing all sorts of weirdness, then and keeping going on that track and letting it kind of go way off track and spiral down, this lifestyle, I think, helps us watch, notice, and then come back a little faster. Because in some cases, people might enter into this holiday season, and so it's, the middle of November, next week is Thanksgiving, and from that point on until January 1st, then people are like, okay, now it's time to get back on track. And what I'm suggesting is that we don't let these next 6 weeks totally create this ridiculous spiral out of our lifestyle that we're really enjoying at the moment, and then need to really pull ourselves back come January 1st. That it's not that kind of scenario. It's more like, oh, we get to watch ourselves and come back faster, and then come back faster. And in some cases, it might be just Thanksgiving Day. We get to have apple pie and like love it and enjoy it. And if we want to have ice cream on top, we do that. But that's, you get to define your track. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to stop this share, and I'm going to open it up for questions or thoughts or any comments at all, and then we'll turn off the recording. Anybody interested in sharing their track? What does success look like this holiday season for you? All right. Nobody.
I can share. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, True.
Okay, good. I am going to go home to my parents' house, and I just said I'm not going to. I'm the person who does the cooking when I go to visit them. They're in their late 70s and they don't want to cook anymore. And I just said, how are tacos? I'm just going to keep it simple. I said, how about we just do tacos? Because I cook tacos a lot when I go home anyway, because there's something in tacos for everybody. Be the veg, the salad, the beans, the hamburger. They love the meat, and I'm more to the bean end of it. So yeah, they were happy with that. So that's a huge thing for me because I don't have to go home and do turkey and potato and pie and blah, blah, blah. Big relief, and enjoy them and enjoy our time together and feel good about eating something that, there's something there for everybody to enjoy. And they were okay with it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else with questions or a plan? Yes, Mid. No, you didn't want to. Did you
No,
mean?
I just have found over the last few years, because we usually don't travel for the holidays, we're usually home, that it's easier if you're invited somewhere else to just eat whatever it is you want to eat. If we had family here and they were all coming to our house, that might be a little bit harder to get everyone on the same page and figure all that out. So, looking at this in that manner, which I haven't in the past, it's always been traditionally what we eat for Thanksgiving. Christmas is a little bit more open, but for Thanksgiving anyway. But so I kind of send love and light out to all of those on the call, and those of us that have family traditions that are harder to create a new track for when you're in charge of people at your house.
Yes, hosting is a lot more challenging, isn't it? Yeah. Suzanne, you were gonna share.
Yes, this is really, really valuable because I still, at least at Thanksgiving, will still be on I'm on the tail end of my 3-month cleanse. I still have like another 3.5 weeks or something to go. So I've wondered about that. Wow, how am I going to do this? And then I don't want to just go crazy for Christmas and do all this stuff. And it did not even occur to me to do a plan, like to be aware of what do I want? What are my, you know, supposedly limits or boundaries, and what am I willing to fudge a little on and say, I'm not going to worry about that, but this I don't want. I will not have, and including food and any and all kinds of drinks, because hot chocolate is just as bad as like having a bourbon and water or something, almost, because it's so loaded with sugar and stuff. So this is really valuable. And something I would just like to add is, most families started, however old they are, or you are on the call, that we remember how we did things growing up. And then maybe if we had children, we started that tradition. Well, for my children, all of them, we were never allowed to celebrate holidays at all. It was just another day. It was an extremely abusive relationship. And so my kids never had that. And so now that I'm totally on my own, nobody's living with me anymore, I am like, I don't want to do any more cooking. I cooked enough when everybody was growing up. And so I don't necessarily want to make this big meal. And though I find my kids they're all adults now in their 20s and early 30s. And I find that as each year passes, it's like they want to have that tradition, that sense of, abundance with food, like all kinds of food, and it all tastes good, and a lot of the family is there, and we're all happy and maybe watching movies and doing whatever, listening to music. And I just realized that, they don't have any tradition. And so they are wanting to feel that, to have that until they have a sense of, yeah, we've been doing this. This is what my family does. So it's kind of interesting, that some people want to get away from all of that. I'm just like starting to get into it with my children. So that it is what it is. But the bottom line is I can choose how much and what I want to include in my diet and my festivities. And even if I make things that I don't necessarily want to eat, I don't have to eat them. I'll just make what I want, make a variety and eat what I want. And it's no big deal. Yeah. So that's a good observation.
Thanks, Suzanne. Our family has used kind of Advent and the Festival of Lights and Hanukkah, and that lighting candles has become really important to us. And so there's so much around food and drink that that it's really nice to bring in some of this other intentional aspect of the holidays, some of the more spiritual, ceremonial aspects, the idea of the solstice, rather than this sort of American not glutinous, gluttonous kind of adventure that we end up going on. Yeah, creating our own traditions. And I saw you come off mute. Welcome, Kathleen. We are kind of at our sharing part of our evening. So welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here. Traffic.
All right.
Um,
Well,
I guess I'm sitting here listening and wondering, if you take a journey if I took a journey in my head when I was listening, and food has always been a something that meeting together and being together has it's around food and around eating and around a table. All right. I don't know whether it necessarily is food, but the types of food that we choose for our tables, maybe. I don't know, that was my thought when I was listening and thinking about my own history and history with family and feelings about that. So I just kind of wanted to add that maybe working harder on making different choices for the food and not being so concerned about there being tradition around food, like Trudy making the changes to tacos or whatever, and making healthy, it's a judgment, a healthier choice for me.
yeah. Beautiful.
We
Yeah,
have some
Ross?
things to share. Do you want to go first or do you want me
Yeah,
to?
I can.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just agreeing with you, Midge, that like, let's try new recipes. There's a recipe I want to try. It's called smashed Brussels sprouts. And you just like steam them and you smash them and then you roast them. And you could make a dip or something. I don't know. I don't remember what that part was, but make them healthier and new and interesting. Doesn't have to just be the old stuff. There's plenty of new recipes, to try. And then another thing is like after dinner, make a tradition of going for a walk with the family if it's a nice day. I think I've done that in the past. Like we have a nice park. I'm going to go back to Montana and be with my family there. And we have a nice park. Like go for a walk around the park after dinner. And so you're moving and, enjoying the outside and just visiting. So yeah, make new traditions like Suzanne was saying too.
Yeah, getting outside is actually my favorite part of Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to address something like completely different than this conversation, and maybe it's not applicable to anyone on the Zoom call right now, but perhaps somebody that might watch the replay. And that's the fact that some of us don't have a family and might not have plans for the holidays and loved ones. And so that's kind of where I was, and that has presents its own challenges. It's been very interesting to me because, when I was married to Uriah, I mean, he definitely didn't like healthy food, and it was really challenging for me at times with, his attitude about food. But then I find myself sometimes when I'm alone and feeling lonely that I do like want to reach towards things that I normally wouldn't. So as it turns out, I am going to have some friends come visit. But I like, one of the other things I was going to bring up, for me, it's not necessarily about as much as what I eat as the quantity. Like, I don't know if anyone has ever had Thanksgiving and not overeaten. Even when you try to just take a little portion of everything you want to try, so that's like another. So for me, it's like, well, because it's going to be just me and my friends, it'll be a small group. And I think, the menu can be very shoot, I like what you're saying. That's what I was thinking. I got some Brussels sprouts. I mean, that's, choosing things that are, simpler to digest, don't eat a lot, don't have a lot of that extra stuff and still enjoy that. But I just wanted to bring that other aspect up because it's something that, there are a lot of people that can be lonely at this time of year too. So that presents like a whole nother layer of challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for bringing that presence. I have had the question over the years, like, do I continue on the program during Thanksgiving if I know I'm going to eat stuff that's off the program? And my answer would be yes. Just stay on it, have your super aminos, have your shakes, and then you may not reach for things that you don't really want. So I would say bring them with you, have them around family, have them before you go, have them before you, just keep them in, I think keep them, keep on the schedule as much as you can. That would be my recommendation. And if you get off the schedule, then okay, but that might be your track. But my recommendation would be to just keep going. Any other questions? Any other comments? Hurdles you want help with?
Would you mind putting the 5 tips back on the screen for a minute so Kathleen can take a quick look? And
Sure.
there'll be a replay too, Kathleen, if you want to hear the details of Dana Lynn's beautiful share. But just thought you might want to check it out real quick. Thanks.
Yeah. There they are.
Thank you. I see, and I get that. I think that's what I've been trying to work on these 30 days, progress, not perfection, and just keep on it. The first couple of weeks were hard, man. I had bad headaches. It's getting easier, and I'm trying to get G on it now and see if it can start to help him. But progress, not perfection. It's me. Keep running the race.
That's right. Compassion for yourself and everyone in the process. Yeah. Kind of bringing up the idea of headaches and that initial detoxification process. It's so different for all of us. So it can be long for some, and some of us breeze right through it, don't have a single symptom. So it's really fascinating for me what happens and who chooses to, or how different all of us choose to encounter this lifestyle a little bit differently. And detoxification symptoms like headaches are definitely a real thing. And so I think that's part of considering that you're not going to set yourself back too far on one day. However, as long as one day doesn't lead to 2 days, then you have to go back and detoxify again. That doesn't sound fun either. So. All right. Well, I think I will stop the recording.